Hello, everybody. We are starting another podcast video session to discuss the Olympic semifinals. The emotions are still fresh, I believe, after what happened in the France-Slovenia game. It was an amazing semifinal, which was concluded by a legendary block from Nicolas Batum. So, Giorgos, could you please start about this game? What are your impressions?
Yes. Hello, everyone. First of all, what I have to say is that just regretted it was not the final game. I think that the final will be worse in any case. We saw maybe the best game in the competition so far. There's 2 more games left, of course. France had the last word today, and there's been a lot of discussion concerning the last play. We'll get to that later on. I think that Slovenia, for the most part, kind of lost their mind. They had very defensive reactions in the second half, especially, and were unable to reset their pace offensively when things went bad for them. Fournier and De Colo had a great game. De Colo, especially in the third period, scored 12 points, just 3 assists as well. Luka Doncic may have made a triple-double, historical triple-double as well, after Alexander Belov and LeBron James. But in the end, there were some protests, I think, from his part that kind of spoiled the whole image. About the last play, I think that initially Fournier had taken on Luka Doncic when Toby set the screen. Then the French switched to Gobert. Luka was probably too tired to go up against him. Plus Batum, who made the last block, was helping Gobert when Luka had the ball. So Luka had to pass to Prepelic, who was then responsible for making a decision, either to shoot from a distance, which he didn't make, or he didn't do, or to go all the way to the basket, which he did. We all know what happened, of course. Had he shot the ball, in my opinion, things would have been different for Slovenia. The question remains and will stay for quite some time. Should Luka have taken that last shot, or even if he was on a bad shooting night, because he was going 5 of 18 from the field today? In my opinion, no. Luka is second to none at manipulating defenders and finding the tiniest pockets of space inside the arc. He caused a lot of damage to France today, to tell the truth. During the past NBA season, he averaged about 28 points a game. He had even more amazing games against Rudy Gobert, but today was another story towards the end of the game. I think he was very tired going into the final stretch. And after a very long NBA season, he had to play like 5 or 6 games in 10 days in Tokyo. That's probably too much for him. He made 18 assists, which is the second best performance at the Olympic Games. But I would say that overall, his impact going into the final stretch of the game was not that important compared to what other players had to do. For example, Prepelic took quite a lot of attempts. He missed, I think it was the 9th free throw for Slovenia in the game. That was another problem for Slovenia. He kind of redeemed himself later on, hitting a big 3 to make it 90-89 with 33 seconds remaining. But as fate would have it, he was the guy who took the last shot, the layup blocked by Nick Batum. Batum, I would say that he's the tournament's best all-around defender. He's not just a non-ball defender like Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday would be a runner-up, in my opinion. He's not a first-on rim protector like Rudy Gobert. He covers every inch. He covers every space on the floor, helping when needed, playing one-on-one defense as well. He's an overall great defender. Today, he scored only one basket, if I'm not mistaken. But he forced Luka Doncic to his first ever loss in international competition, and that's what matters for France right now. And they have an opportunity, not a golden opportunity, but they have a strong chance to claim that coveted the gold medal against the USA team.
Yeah, France national team is back to the Olympics final after 21 years when they played in Sydney. But at that time, they were not that great. They were not the favorites. And this team, it's very well built. They have depth. They have amazing scorers, creators. They have the best rim protector in the world, Rudy Gobert. And as you mentioned, one of the greatest wing defenders, Nicolas Batum. And Batum's impact was really felt throughout the whole game. It's not a coincidence that he played the most minutes among the French players. He is, of course, captain of the team, and to me, he stands there alongside Boris Diaw, Tony Parker, as one of those French basketball legends. Probably it's not the last Olympics for him. As we know, in 3 years, the Olympics are in Paris, so I believe he would play there as well. And still talking about the game, I agree with your opinion about Luka Doncic not taking that final shot. Another thing that I would add to it is that Luka started well. He hit his first 2 3-pointers, but after that, his step back long distance shooting was not working. He was missing shots, and maybe because he was tired, maybe because of the extremely physical defense of the French team, he chose to pass the ball to Klemen Prepelic, which I think was a good decision at that time. Prepelic went for a layup, and what happened. And you know, when you think of the greatest block shots in history, you think of LeBron James chase down to Andre Iguodala, or you think of Tayshaun Prince blocking Reggie Miller. But in the context of Olympic Games, this block by Nicolas Batum will probably be on top for a long, long time. Some more details before switching to Orazio, which I would like to say is that a guy like Luvavu Barol really stepped big for France, made some defensive plays, hit some spot-up shots, a clutch 3-pointer in the fourth quarter. Again, they were up by 5, and then they had some trouble because Evan Fournier took that really silly offensive foul. He fouled out of the game. It was his 5th, and Slovenians had a chance to win it with the last shot. But I did like how Fournier played throughout the game, and also Nando De Colo. In the third quarter, it was Nando De Colo masterclass. He was controlling everything. He was punishing Mike Tobey, dropping to the paint and leaving those open mid-range or 3-point shots. So once again, De Colo showed his class. Orazio, what can you say about this game? Do you think that the better team won, even though by a slim margin?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very close game, of course, so it was difficult. But I believe that when you look at the rosters overall, France is the better team. Maybe Slovenia has more talent in some individuals, but as a team overall, I believe that France was the better team. And once again, Batum was a key presence for them, even against Italy defensively, was an absolute monster. And he played again a fantastic game today. And when you look also at the entire tournament, France so far has been really, really good. They were the only one to beat the United States in the group. So it's I think in the end it's right they will be in the final to play against the United States once again.
Yeah, of course. As always, there are a lot of emotions. People talking about the referees. In my opinion, the refereeing in this whole Olympic tournament is not very good. But let's leave it for later. Let's not go into too much detail. Let's move to the first semifinal. Actually, it was played early in the morning. Australia against United States. Australians, after the lob to Jock Landale, were leading 41-26. It seemed like they were on the rise. But then Coach Popovich took a timeout and everything changed. Orazio, what exactly do you think changed, and where was this momentum shift in the game?
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, Australia did a really good job in the first half. At some point, they were up by 15, and they were taking away the 3-point shots from the United States. The USA missed the first 10 3-pointers that they took. So it was difficult for them to score. And Australia did a fantastic job on the perimeter. But then, I think the momentum shift at the end of the second quarter. In the last a minute and a half, United States forced 3 consecutive turnovers. against Australia, and they were able to score in all those 3 occasions, and they were able to cut down the lead just to 3 points at the end of the half. So I think that in that way, they were able to go back in the locker room with much more calm, in a situation that was much more in control for them. And in the third quarter, the situation, completely changed because United States were also more aggressively defensively. They started to switch in much more situations. Once again, Drew Holiday provided some great defense on the perimeter, creating a lot of issues to Australia. Australia started to miss also several shots from outside. And, with this kind of situation, the United States were able to run in transition, find easy baskets. And the third quarter was just a real problem for Australia because the final score of the period was 32-10 for the United States. So Australia was completely annihilated in that third quarter. Kevin Durant finished with 23 points. Devin Booker was fantastic too, super effective, 20 points with just 10 shots taken in the entire game. Once again, when United States is really in the groove offensively, it's really hard to stop them. Plus, for Australia, there was a clear issue inside because without Aaron Baines trying to protect the rim a little bit, they were completely devastated inside. United States at the end of the game had 15 more rebounds than Australia, 6 blocks more. And in the paint, Australia just couldn't find easy shots, easy baskets. And again, after the third quarter, the game was basically over.
Yeah, and it has to be said that when Team USA had some problems, they turned to Kevin Durant because the Australian defense was prepared in the first half. They really stopped the ball movement of the Americans, and it was Kevin Durant making plays on his own, hitting some, for other players, it would be difficult shots. For him, it's just a routine. It's like a usual day in the office. And he was making those jump shots, mid-range jump shots, mainly because the three-pointers were not falling. But he kept them in the game. He got them the lead basically on his own. And then others started chipping in. And then the ball movement was there and everything was clicking in the third quarter, as you mentioned. But talking about Aaron Baines, they were trying to play through Jock Landale a little bit, attacking that switch-all defense of the United States. But Jock Landale is really not a great post-up player. And for him to finish inside the paint is difficult, right? So, Giorgos, do you think that with Aaron Baines, Australians could have done more in this game?
Yes, to an extent, yes, but not enough in order to win the game or have a chance at winning the game. I think their overall performance could have been a little bit better in terms of closing the gap in the defensive rebounding department, for example, in order to not to get blocked that much, in order to have some more chance in the game in general. I think that the game was kind of a repetition of the USA-Spain game, that Australia were making every shot in the first 15 minutes, and then they weren't making anything, essentially. Shots were falling, and then they just didn't. Drew Holiday was great for another game. He wore Mills down. He read the game perfectly as a point guard, threw in some layups as well. He had a commanding performance overall. On the other end, Joe Ingles had a very tough game, scoring just 9 points as Australia was outscored by 26 in his 29 minutes of court time. That means that his contribution was rather negative than positive. In the beginning, Australia had an exceptional defense with Nick Kay making steals, Dante Exum taking charge of the US frustration. But from the moment the Americans were down, inside 4 minutes left the second quarter until the end of the third, Durant reeled off 18 points and everything changed. There's another observation I would like to make. It concerns Chris Goulding. Chris Goulding is a player who has been playing in Australia for most part of his career, with the exception of 1 year in Spain, if I'm not mistaken. So in a league such as the NBA, where shooting is worth $10 million or plus, it's impressive how this player has not landed an NBA job so far in his career.
Yeah, now he's a veteran player, but I do agree that he's a pure shooting guard, and he probably could play in the EuroLeague and in the NBA as well. But maybe he just feels happy in Australia. We know these Australian players, they like playing at home. They like the Australian basketball culture. Let's say Matthew Dellavedova is only 30 years old, but he's already made a comeback to the Australian League. And that's another player which was eliminated from the game mainly because of the foul trouble. Patty Mills, as you said, he was kind of limited. He's their best scorer. So then you have Dante Exum, and he's not a leader. He's not a guy that can really cover the load from all these other players that I mentioned. So really, it was Americans all over the court controlling everything, especially in the second half, as we discussed. And about Joe Ingles, I wanted to add that he was so great playing pick and rolls with Bogut and Baines in the past. And when you have no Bogut and no Baines, it's kind of hard for Joe Ingles to be his best version, even though he's a super smart player and he does some great things, but he needs a quality big, which he can partner in the pick and roll. So that's about the semifinals. Actually, everything went more or less as I predicted. Before the tournament, I expected the French and American final, and I kind of expected Australia and Slovenia to face each other for the bronze medal. And so, first of all, let's talk about the third place game. Even though it's an odd situation that the final will be played early in the morning and the bronze medal game will be played later in the afternoon, but it's because the Americans need a better time slot for their television. So it is what it is. Australia against Slovenia. For Slovenians, it was a heartbreak. They were crushed emotionally today. So they need to recover, first of all, mentally, and then to prepare as much as they can for the physicality of the Australian team. I believe the Australians were not really shook by today's loss. Well, it happened. They lost to a better team. They lost to a better player in Kevin Durant. And after the final whistle, they seemed really, together in a circle. Patty Mills saying some words. So they will be extremely motivated and prepared for the bronze medal game because they can finally take an Olympic medal. They were so close on so many occasions, and now it's their chance. So for them, it's kind of easier probably to recover after the loss. And for Slovenians, it may be more difficult. However, we saw the Slovenian team overcoming lots of difficulties throughout this tournament and also the qualifying tournament in Lithuania as well. So you kind of cannot say that Australia should be the clear favorites. What do you guys think, Orazio, first of all?
As you said, I think that Australia took this loss a little bit easier because they knew that it was going to be very, very difficult to beat the United States. And they already been in this position several times. In the last two major tournaments, they always ended up losing in the semifinal, both in the World Cup and at the last Olympic Games. So they already been there. They know how to react from this kind of situation. Emotionally, I believe that for Slovenia it was a little bit more difficult because they really believed that they had a chance to reach the final. So losing this game, and especially losing like that, with having the opportunity to win it at the last second and just being unable to finish it, emotionally is going to be much more difficult for them to recover. But as you said, then it's going to be a different game because it's just a single match. So they are going to be there in a very positive way. In the end, I believe that Australia might be slightly in advantage, but I expect again a very close game.
Yeah, and I do expect Joe Ingles covering Luka Doncic probably. It's the best they can do against him in terms of size and defensive abilities. Giorgos, what do you think could be the key points in this game?
In terms of Luka Doncic, I think that things would probably be easier for him in this game, although I saw that after the game, he shouted that FIBA is probably happy that FIBA happened after Slovenians lost to France. It's difficult to accept defeat. Okay, I get it. But in this case, I think that the French deservedly won the game. I think that in this case, as is the case with any third place game, it's often won by the least disappointed team, as you said, which in this game seems to be Australia. Australia played very well in the first half, as we said, against the States. They were outplayed completely in the second half. Slovenia really believed that they could win, they could beat France, which was a strong possibility. It didn't happen. Now they have to regroup. It's a matter of a few hours to make it happen. I'm not sure that Slovenia will have that stock, let's say, in order to regroup and concentrate on what is to be done from now on. It's a difficult game for them. Australia has an extra motivation because they've lost each and every third place game they've played so far in every competition. The medal is a strong motivation for Slovenia as well. And I think that we will see a very good, quality game for the third place as well.
Yeah, I'm expecting a quality game, definitely. It will be interesting to see whether the Australian physicality and their defensive mentality will take over the Slovenian passion and their beautiful style of play. So I'm excited. I'm waiting for this one. Probably even more than I'm waiting for the gold medal game. Actually, it's Team USA against France. We know historically how difficult it is to beat the same team in the elite level twice in a competition like this. And we have to admit that Team USA is much better now than they were less than 2 weeks ago when they played against France in that first group stage match. They are much better right now. Everything is more clear. The players know their roles. They know their positions. Coach Popovic knows his rotation, and it's clicking for them. The shots are starting to fall. Kevin Durant in that first game against France, he just made silly fouls one after another, and he wasn't really in the game. Now he's the true leader. In quarterfinals and semifinals, he was really amazing. I think he was averaging like 27 or 26 points per game in these two playoff matches. So, to be honest, I'm expecting USA to win in a similar fashion like they did against Spain or Australia, maybe by 15 points or something like that. Even though for France, there is no stress going into this game. They are already winners. They are in the final. They have silver medals already, which is an amazing achievement, knowing how difficult it was for them in quarterfinals, also against Italy, not only against Slovenia. So maybe they can put up a fight because they have size, because they have Rudy Gobert, because there will be mismatches which they can use, and it will be harder for Americans to win the rebounds. But I don't know. I'm kind of confident that Team USA will win the gold medal. Maybe you guys have some different opinions. Giorgos, what do you think?
I think that France may have held the Team USA down twice, but that doesn't mean much in this case. The US have figured out what it takes to win, as you said, Rytis, even if they have to storm back late in the game or in the second half. They sure are the heavy favorite to win another Olympic gold medal. And if the question is if France can win again, in a quarterfinal against Spain and against the Australians, Team USA faced a substantial deficit and they came back, as I said before. They closed the gap before halftime and blew the doors off in the second one. It's difficult to go up against Team USA in each and every respect. France did it quite admirably in the first game of the tournament, essentially. They didn't go big today against Slovenia, and that's understandable. There's not a lot to gain if you play with Poirier, for example, as a power forward, when the other teams like to run so much. I believe that Team USA, will run the court as much as possible. And that's something also that Fred Weiss said in his interview with BasketNews yesterday. Batum was a power forward for most of the time today for France, making 3 blocks or 4 blocks, if I'm not mistaken. We had the torch relay guarding Luka Doncic. In this case, the French maybe will use many players guarding Kevin Durant, as he's the main threat for any defense facing Team USA in this tournament. Nobody as dominant as Luka Doncic, in my opinion. Kevin Durant, okay, is maybe the best scorer on the planet. Luka, maybe a better overall player in some respect. But I think that France will have a chance. The question is until then, until which point in the game. If things get tight, everything can happen. I think that they are maybe one of the very few teams in the tournament that really stand a chance against Team USA, and it remains to be proven in the final game.
Orazio, do you see some more potential in the final game? Do you think that France can cause an upset and beat the Americans once again?
I think that, France, out of all the teams, has the tools to make it really difficult for the United States, because they have the presence, of course, inside in the paint with several players that can protect the rim, with Gobert, with Fall. And they also have quality on the wings and in the backcourt. So when we look on the paper, France is definitely the team that can make it more difficult to the United States to win the game. But as you said, it's very difficult for a team to win this kind of games twice in a single tournament. Of course, they played better than the United States in the first game, but at the same time, in the last few games, the United States have improved a lot. They are a better team than they were in the group. Drew Holiday has been a game changer for them. He wasn't there during the preparation games because he was still busy with the NBA finals. And again, I believe that there's always a point in the game in which the United States can flip a switch and become very, very difficult to stop, because they just become better with their rotation defensively. They start making shots, even very contested shots. And at that point, you start to lose confidence. And it becomes very, very difficult to stop that kind of movement. So in the end, I believe that the United States will win, but I don't expect a blowout, to be honest. I believe it's going to be kind of a close game.
Either way, we are looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be a great day for Olympic basketball. And actually, I'm really excited about both games, bronze medal and gold medal as well. So guys, thank you for watching. You leave some comments below. And Orazio, Giorgos, thank you for your time, and see you guys next time.
Thank you, Rytis. See you.
Bye.